Hi YouTube, it's Kathy and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for June 29th through July 5th. This week I read 2 books, I watched 1 show, I watched 2 movies, and I listened to 2 books. It's also week 444 in a row, which is just fun to say. First this week I finished The Magic Fish. This is a cute middle grade graphic novel about this kid who knows that he is gay, but he doesn't really know how to tell his parents about it. You see, they live in America, but his parents are from Vietnam, so they mostly speak Vietnamese, whereas he's grown up in America, so he mostly speaks English and has a little bit of Vietnamese. How he kind of connects with his parents, especially his mother, is telling them fairy tales, and that weaves its way into this story. We see so many fairy tale aspects, both when he's telling these fairy tale stories and just kind of how that actually weaves into his life. The way other people have talked about it, I kind of expected this character to be creating his own fairy tale to tell his parents who he is, but that's not quite how it goes, but fairy tales are definitely a savior. The next book that I finished this week is Beyond the Throne: Epic Journeys, Endearing Friendships, and Surprising Tales. This is by Kristian, who you might know as Hodor from Game of Thrones, or most recently you might know him from Our Flag Means Death. This is his biography of growing up in Northern Ireland as a guy who hit 6'2" before he hit his teen years. He's actually 6'10" now. But what often happened with him is people would only see his height and his size and not really get to know who he was. With the exception of his mother, he is best friends with his mother, and then a few people along the way. Prior to the popularity of Game of Thrones, which was actually pretty much his first acting gig, he was a DJ and a drag queen, and he's got a lot of stories to tell, so I'll just leave those to him. You should pick up his book if you're interested. As for the show I watched this week, of course I continued watching Silent Witness. With the last time we talked I was in the 13th season, and this time I left off in the 15th season. And in particular, one duo of episodes I want to talk about, kind of abstractly, because I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens, but I'm going to tell you some of my feelings, is this duo of episodes that happened in Budapest. When it first started out, I was like, hey, Budapest, I've been there. It's cool to see places I've been in TV shows. But if you know anything about the show and you've seen the Budapest episodes, you know the emotional journey that I went on and the way the show fakes you out in a very crucial way. The show continues to be intriguing and interesting and crime-solvy, which is just something I'm really into. As for the movies I watched this week, both of them were blasts from the past, but the first one in particular more so, and that's Back to the Future 2. Now you might be wondering to yourself, have you recently watched Back to the Future 1? And the answer is no, I have not. However, we watched the second one because if you watch the second one, you're basically watching all of the best bits of the first one at the same time, and considering we only had time for one movie that night, this seemed like the best idea if we were going to watch something from this trilogy. Also, I believe we particularly picked this one because this, I think, might have been the first acting role of a certain person who went on to be a very, very famous hobbit. Elijah Wood. I had to talk myself through that sentence to get to his name. He is one of the tiny children in the diner. If for some reason you've never seen this trilogy of movies, I need you to just go watch them. But essentially they follow a guy named Marty McFly who is from 1985, and he has this doctor friend who creates a time machine, and then when people accidentally go back in time, they need to fix the ramifications of what went on. This is fun because this movie takes place in 1985, but also 1955, but also 2015, but also 1885. And in the second installment, we saw those first 3 years. You have to wait until the third one to go back to 1885. The other blast from the past this week was Jurassic Park, which I have not watched since I was probably in single digits or a very early teenager, which is a really long time ago. As a side note, I had to call up a certain learning institution yesterday because I used to go there, but I stopped going there 18 years ago, and I want to take some continuation courses, and I had to call them because you can only have one account, so I had to reopen that account so I could take these classes. And when I was updating my information, it dawned on me that back when I went to this university, you only had to give a 7-digit phone number because phones at the time would just pick up which digits you meant at the very beginning of that. And it was only if you were calling long distance that you had to put some digits at the beginning to be able to do that. And as I'm filling in my information, I had that realization. I was talking to the tech guy on the phone who definitely sounded way younger than me, and I felt really old. Anyway, Jurassic Park, if you've somehow never heard of it, it's definitely the way, way older precursor to Jurassic World, which I have not seen at all. And going back now, you're like, oh, all of these famous people are in this. Such a young Samuel L. Jackson. And I was so impressed that he could talk with a cigarette dangling out of his mouth the whole time. This, of course, is about people who isolated some dinosaur DNA and decided that breeding dinosaurs on an island as a theme park is a really good idea, and of course, it is not. As for the audiobooks I listened to, the first one is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morisson. Now, when people ask, do you like plot-driven things or do you like character-driven things, this definitely falls into the latter category, to the extent where when I was listening to it, I was like, oh, this is a character-driven book. Because sure, the characters talk about things that have happened in their lives, but really this is a character study of several different characters. The title of this book, of course, comes from one character who is certain that she will become beautiful if she gets blue eyes instead of the eyes that she has, which is just so sad. There was a lot of this where you go really deep into these characters and you get to understand why they've done often the very, very terrible things that they do, not as an excuse, but as an understanding of. And Morrison's writing is beautiful. As for the other audiobook I listened to, that was Honey Girl. This one is about a girl who wakes up one day in Vegas and realizes, I think I got married last night. And yeah, she got married to a woman that she had met the previous night. However, when she wakes up, that woman has already gone, and she has to figure out whether or not she's going to contact her or what she's going to do about this situation. And she knows her dad is going to be very, very mad because they have a plan for her, and she's almost to the end of that plan, but she hasn't been able to stick that landing. Now, going into this, I've always seen the central question of will this romance be able to work properly as like the big question of it, and that is a question of it. But really, if you think about that premise, the much more important question is what got her to the point where she would marry a stranger in Vegas? And understanding that and figuring out that is much more important than a love story. Although, we do get both. This one was full of very endearing characters. It was very, very messy. I can see how it wouldn't be for everyone, but I ended up enjoying it. That's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you happen to be on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that, as always, is down below. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!